all the time. Your gateway to the world. AFR! American Freedom Radio. Give it to them.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and happy Tuesday. It is December 3, 2013. Hope you all had a beautiful and warm day. It is that time going into some hard freezes here. So, woohoo! Hopefully you're all snuggy-wuggy and got your nice, soft, warm robes and fireplace going and some hot chocolate and all that fun stuff this time of year. And hope you had a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much and welcome you here, Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. It is the first Tuesday of the month, so we are joined by the lovely Heather Rhoades of GardeningKnowHow.com. She is a gardener located in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, so talk about freezing if we're cold. She's probably super, super cold. She's been gardening most of her life, and she owns and operates the gardening site, GardeningKnowHow.com, your one-stop storehouse of information, everything that has to relate to things growing. So edible gardens, vegetables, fruits, plants, roses, house plants, composting, worm bins, garden pests, weeds, environmental problems, lawn care, etc., etc. That's at gardeningknowhow.com. Her and a team of experts are there answering your questions full time, and we are blessed to have her here to join us once a month to answer your questions here at Soul Journeys Radio. And if you do have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at souljourneysradio.com. And I know here in the States, of course, it's winter, and you're probably thinking, well, what do we need to do? We can't do any gardening this year, and that's actually not true because it is certainly a full-time year-round job, but we also have many listeners in the Southern Hemisphere. You're just having your spring and starting into your summer right now, so if anybody has any questions, don't be shy, just let us know. But it's so good to have you here tonight. Heather, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know what? You were talking about cold weather. We actually had 50-degree weather today.
What?
I know.
That's awesome.
Today and tomorrow it's supposed to be 50 degrees. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, wow. Enjoy that. We were down in the teens for a while, and we did actually get a couple warmish days ourselves, so I've been soaking that up as much as I can, getting out there barefoot where I'm not, shivering, saying hi to my little plant babies that are surviving despite the hard freezes. But, wow, Cleveland, though.
I know we had 10 inches of snow for Thanksgiving, and then, 50 degrees today.
Holy smokes. Oh, man, that's a little erratic.
It is. It's not good for our plants, but yeah. Not good for the plants, but, I'll take 50 degrees in the middle of December. So.
Definitely. So did all the snow melt, or did you still get to have snowball fights?
The snow's gone now. Cleveland is one of the few places in the world that suffers from, or is privileged by, depending on who you talk to, lake effects. So it's not uncommon for us to get, 10 inches or so all through the fall and early winter until the lake finally decides it wants to be cold too. So
yeah, and then you get 10 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. So let me ask you this. Are you able to grow anything in your fall and winter in these types of erratic temperatures?
I don't personally try in my own garden, just because it is very erratic. It's very difficult to predict what the temperatures are going to be like. But I do know of a couple of farmers who grow organically close to here, and they actually grow in tents out in their fields.
Okay. And do they heat them, or is
No,
it just for
these
like
are
greens and stuff?
it's greens and that sort of thing. So they have the tunnels that you can put up, and they grow year round, and they supply the local restaurants as well as the White House. So
Oh wow, like the White House?
the White House, yes, they
Oh, so they use
major
extra
suppliers of.
pesticides, right?
I was no, they actually they're very organic, and yeah, they're one of the primary um, growers for the White House for their organic greens and that sort of thing. Um,
Interesting. Well, they got their good organic food, and
so
hmm.
yeah, it's what It's I was speaking to the man who is one of the owners there. His brother, I can't. The name of the farm is escaping me at the moment, but I know his brother is a sometimes judge on Iron Chef. Um,
Oh,
comes in the overalls, farmer. I want to say like Farmer John or Farmer Tom or something like that. I was speaking to his brother, um, and his brother said that they had to keep it a secret that they supplied the White House.
oh well.
And,
Hey, everybody,
you know,
don't tell anyone.
well, that's yeah, nobody, yeah. And he said that big thing, you got to keep it secret, got to keep it secret. And then without warning, nobody mentioned it to them that they were going to do this. The White House like puts out a press release telling the entire world that their farm
Oh,
supplies.
that's funny. Oh wow.
You know?
Well,
He's like,
interesting.
it was a little bit of a surprise, especially since
Yeah.
they had just had the Secret Service out to our farm to make sure that we weren't going to poison the president.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Uh,
wow. So do they have like extra security or something?
they did have to have the farm checked out by the Secret Service, um, but other than that, it was considered to be a safe area, I guess. So,
All
although I don't
right.
know, the press release. Hey, this is where we get our food.
Yeah,
I
we
don't.
better not tell anyone else, right?
Oh,
Oh,
maybe they have really good food
goodness.
testers at the White House. I don't know. So,
So people are growing things in tents and they don't even have to heat them up in those temperatures, huh?
no, it's he said that the tents that they use they're very good at containing. They got some pretty hardy greens growing in there, and they mainly at this time of year he said that they grow like baby greens, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we're not looking for like full size kale or that kind of thing. No, I feel obligated to remember what the name of his farm is. Uh, because it's an amazing operation.
Yeah.
Like I said, they supply a lot of the vegetables to the local restaurants and that sort of thing. They've actually modified in order to harvest baby greens. They strap themselves into this contraption on a modified harvester, so that they're actually laying over top of the beds, and the harvester goes down the beds, and all of their employees harvest while laying in these contraptions so that they don't step on the soil, so they don't disturb the roots.
Oh, wow. That is interesting. I'd like to see that.
Let me see if I can find the name. Like I said, it's bugging me now because I should know it.
I guess we could Google place in Ohio that grows food for the White House.
Right.
Oh, and don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Okay, well that's great. That's so like the tent idea is something that pretty much any of us can do, right? If we want to do our coal crops or cold crops as some of us would call them, our roots and heads and greens.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly parts of the country in the United States that can handle the coal crops, because they are very hardy, and they can take a little bit of snow and they can take a little bit of frost. So, and
Mhm.
actually, some people believe that some of these actually taste better with a little bit of cold, a little bit of frost.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
especially like your collards and that sort of thing. There's this um, there's a lot of people who feel that the bitterness is decreased and the sweetness is increased
Hmm.
by um, by a little bit of a chill. So
Okay. Well, I'm going to test that out this year. I've got my kale and mustards and shards, and they're hanging in there pretty well. They do, some of the bigger leaves don't really like it when we, get down into the teens. But they keep seeming to bounce right back, and those pretty little baby leaves, I think, are sweeter anyways.
yes, they are. They are.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, we do have a question from somebody in the southern hemisphere, I believe in Ecuador. And they said that they just planted 400 square meters of quinoa. Do you have any tips for them?
that is one of the few that I have not really had much experience with. It's up until really up until a year or two ago, it was mainly contained to Peru.
Oh, okay.
It was grown in the mountains. So, given what I know of that, I'm going to say that um, it does very well in the mountains of Peru, which would indicate that you're looking for a temperate sort of environment. Um, would probably tolerate uh, soil that's not ideal. But with any plant, you're going to look for something that's a little bit. You want to pamper your plants when you want to harvest food from them. So you know, while they'll tolerate less than ideal soil, they probably would appreciate better soil. Um,
Yeah.
other than that, I have to say, it's one of those new crops in the United States
Mm-hmm.
that's we just don't know a lot about yet. Uh,
Ah, well, maybe he gave you an idea for something to research on your website.
Yet, you know what? We can add it to our list of things we need more information about.
All right. Well, that's always good, huh? New challenges. He says it's, I guess, 5 months to harvest, and I'm not sure if this is his first time growing it, but yeah, I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Yeah, it's an interesting grain. Actually, it's kind of funny that prior to its boom in the United States over the past literally just like 2 years, it was considered poor man's food.
Oh, isn't that
Uh,
funny?
it was what the farmers grew for themselves to feed their family, and then they grew other things to sell. And
Oh.
and now with the boom in the United States, it's actually the farmers can no longer afford to keep it. So
Oh my god, I know it's very expensive. I like quinoa. It's funny how it was considered poor man's food, but now it's, rich food snob food.
that's right. It's a lot of foods follow that time. Lobster. My mom talks about. My mom grew up on the East Coast, and she talks about there's a point in time that lobster. You ate lobster in on foggy nights because
Oh.
um, because it was poor man's food.
Wow.
And
Holy
right, it was
smokes.
poor man's food. If you had any respect, you didn't eat lobster. That's why you ate it on foggy nights, so that the kids could run out to the beach in the
Oh.
fog and bury the shells so that nobody would know that you were eating lobster.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I
So
remember back in the day where like orange roughy and tilapia and stuff used to be affordable, and now it's caught up with lobster and ribeyes and all of that unaffordable food at this time. I did realize that quinoa is actually related to lamb's quarters. So it
mm,
almost seems like it would be, it's kind of like tobacco. I grow tobacco here. It's
right.
always hard to get it started because despite the fact that it's supposed to be pesticide and insecticide. Pests and insects love it until it gets, like 5-6 inches
size.
or taller. Yeah, so I always have trouble getting it started. I always have to replant at least 3 times a season. But once you get it going, it just goes like crazy and probably doesn't need much work. I mean, I know my tobacco doesn't, and I actually grow lamb's quarters in my garden on purpose because they're just absolutely delicious and they're much easier than spinach and I think actually taste better. So, yeah, it might be one of those things that just, baby it in the beginning and you probably don't have to worry about watering it too much either, because it's one of those things that just God takes care of, I guess, Mother Nature, whatever. I don't know, though. I would like to ask our listener in Ecuador who is growing the quinoa up until you have your article posted and any tips that you can share with him for him to tell us how it's going and share with us any tips that he will have for us in the future because, heck, that's something I'd even like to try. I love quinoa.
Yeah, it's certainly it's a wonderful grain. It's a lot of fun too because it's like a spring poof,
Yeah.
So
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
You're listening to AmericanFreedomRadio.com, the network who perseveres in delivering intelligent debate, constructive dialogue with true independence. The freedom to broadcast the truth is not free at all. So what is American Freedom Radio worth to you? The empowering information with fun, honest and pure integrity behind it provides an example to follow, friendships to flourish, with the moral altruism that pulls no punches. The hosts sacrifice and show remarkable discipline in their duty to deliver quality radio and service to the community with strength, wisdom and loyalty. The founders of AFR wish to thank you personally for sharing your views and insights to make the best radio and alternative media. Now it's time for you to give something back and play a vital role in the future of America. Be as generous with us as we've been with you. Click on the donate banner at AmericanFreedomRadio.com or volunteer by emailing AmericanFreedomRadio@ymail.com. Vaccine, psychotropic drugs and artillery batteries not included.
All right, welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us here tonight. And thank you for the wonderful question about quinoa. I'm really looking forward to finding out what you discover, Heather, for us Americans that would like to partake in the pleasure of growing that beautiful, delicious, and extremely nutritious grain. So check back. That's gardeningknowhow.com. That's what they do. They answer all of your questions, and if they don't have an answer right now, they will research it and figure it out and get it up on that website for you and anyone else who can benefit from that information. That's gardeningknowhow.com. And if you have any questions tonight, please feel free to give us a call at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525 to join our happy little soul family grilling me right now in the text chat. That's over at souljourneysradio.com. And let's see, let's go back to the United States now. Of course, as we've discussed, it is winter here, and we have a listener that would like to know how they can better care for their poinsettias. She in particular has poinsettias that she's had for the past couple years, and isn't really sure how to make them turn red again.
Well, first of all, it's always one of those things with poinsettia. It's one of those plants I have no idea how it ended up as a Christmas plant. Well, it's absolutely beautiful. It has absolutely no tolerance for cold. So I always tell people when you buy poinsettia at the store, if it's even below 50 degrees outside, make sure your poinsettia is protected going out to your car. You buy one in 30-degree weather and you walk out to your car with it unprotected, you're going to have a dead plant when you get home.
Oh, wow. So they're that gentle, I guess? They can die just in the walk from your car to your house?
Yeah, they can suffer some pretty severe damage at temperatures technically below 50, but certainly below 40 and 30.
And what does the damage look like? Because I was just visiting a friend recently. We went to the store and saw this, oh my God, amazing, beautiful poinsettia I've never seen that looked like little flower roses, really, and all crinkly and bubbly and beautiful and curly, and they were just amazing. But a lot of them seemed to have a little bit of damage. Maybe neither of us recognized it. We didn't know what it was. So, how do we know if the plant's been damaged from weather?
If they have cold damage, it's going to look a little wilty.
Okay.
What basically happens is ice crystals start to form.
Okay.
Inside the cells of the plant, and those ice crystals are just like if you took a needle to a water balloon. They puncture the side of the cell wall, and the cell wall starts to leak water, and then the plant starts to get like these wilty spots.
They were these little spots that maybe looked like somebody scraped off like one layer of, off the top, and it wasn't like too bad, and they all had it, so there really wasn't, we couldn't get one without. But let's say if that does happen, is there something you can do to revive it or remove it? Would you want to clip it or, prune it like other plants?
Well, you can prune it off, but with poinsettia, it's so easy for it to happen to the plant. You're just better off if you walk out of a store with a plant, you need to make sure it's in a paper bag, something that can protect it from the wind and give it a temporary, insulation while you walk out to the car. So plastic bags are not going to work for you, and that's a really hard thing too.
That's what they store them
right?
in the store.
You walk into the store. I've been in stores and I've bought a poinsettia and I said, I can't take this out to my car like this. It's freezing outside, and they'll be like, well, all we have is plastic bags. And get creative maybe then. If you can stand it, put your coat over the plant while you go to the car. Just make sure it stays out of that wind and cold. Even a few seconds of exposure with poinsettia can actually cause damage. So
okay, all right, no wonder. Okay, so you're saying that poinsettias, it's quite confusing that they've been turned into a Christmas plant when they're really not a cold weather plant at all.
Yeah, they come from Mexico, and in Mexico right now, it's still warm, so they do use it as a Christmas plant there, and it makes a lot of sense in Mexico. Okay. In the colder regions of North America, it makes absolutely no sense. But they are beautiful plants, and that bright red color this time of year, and they've bred so many colors now: red, yellow, and white, and then they're spray painting them with sparkles and all sorts of things. Yeah. It does bring some cheerfulness to the house. It's just if you're going to be taking care of one of those plants, it's very important that you make sure that it's not exposed to cold. When you get it home, it does not go in the window. It needs to be away from the window. even a little bit of cold can really do some damage. So.
Okay. All right. So for poinsettias that maybe you've had in your home at least a year or maybe even 2 seasons, and they're nice and green, how do we get them to go red again?
Well, the first thing you have to understand, poinsettias, those red flowers, and we're going to put those in finger quotes, air quotes. Those aren't actually flowers. Those are actually the leaves changing color, just like on our trees outside. They turn a nice red color or orange color. The same thing's happening to a poinsettia. So, it has to be about, they need shorter days. Same as our trees outside. Your trees outside, they aren't responding to cold weather. What they're responding to is shorter light cycles. So if you want to get your poinsettia to start to go red again, you need to start tricking it into thinking that it's getting much less light than it might actually be able to get. So closets are helpful for this. Time it. Put it. You do want to keep them pruned. They can get really leggy if you keep them for several years. So keep them pruned so that they stay nice and compact, and then start to cut back on the amount of light that they're getting day by day.
Okay,
almost
so
like,
you don't want to keep it in a bright, sunny window year-round. You want to trick it into fall, have less light, maybe even less water.
Right. You want it to think that it's time to go dormant, and it'll start bringing about that bright color. And once you get the bright color, you can bring it back out to normal light. But yeah, just it's almost like when you acclimate a plant back into your house or outside, or from your house to outside, where you just a little bit every day. That's kind of what you want to do with your poinsettias. Every day, a little bit less light. Closets are great for that. Put yourself on a timer, put it in the closet, pull it out in the morning, and then the next day, maybe 15 minutes less, put it in the closet, pull it out the next day.
Okay.
So.
All right. So if you have like a temperature regulated greenhouse or garage or something like that, would you also want to cool it down a little instead of keeping it at like 70 24/7?
Yeah, well, it's like I said, it's you want to trick it into thinking it's fall, and fall in Mexico. So, we're not talking the temperatures we get in fall. We're talking the temperatures they get in fall. So, yeah, you're looking for around between 60 and 70. And most of the time, most houses, that's why the closets are so great. Most houses, closets are not, they're not heated and they're not insulated. So they get the benefit of the heat from the house, but they don't have anything that keeps the heat. So they tend to be a little bit cooler than the rest of the house. If your garage is attached, check the temperature before you put it out there, but if your garage is attached, it probably would serve as well. Basements certainly work. They tend to stay around 60 degrees. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess technically, if you wanted your poinsettia to turn red more than once throughout the year, you could just do the same thing, right? Just trick it into being fall in March if you want.
You could. You could. It thing is, like most plants, and like people too, they need a season for sleeping, and what you're doing when you're getting them to turn red is getting them to go to sleep, and they need a season for survival. So they need to be able to make that energy they need to get through their dormant season. So if you cause it to go into the dormant season too much, over the course of a year, it won't be able to generate enough energy to survive. So it could die if you do it too often.
Okay. All right.
Red on plants, the green part of the plant is what makes energy for the plant. So when we coax poinsettia to go into their dormant phase, where they're going red, they're no longer able to generate the energy that they need to store. It'd be kind of like us. We have a time we need to eat, and we have a time we need to sleep.
Yes.
And if somebody forced us to sleep all the time, we wouldn't eat, and then we would die.
Yeah.
So the same thing happens with our plants. And poinsettia is one of those. I guess primary examples of how that can happen. So.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good advice. Okay. I'm sure that'll help her out a lot. Now, what about being that it is Christmas time and many people have Christmas trees? The one question they always ask is, how do we get it to, not die in 2 weeks?
Well, it starts when you buy the Christmas tree. A lot of people don't realize that. Keeping your Christmas tree alive does not start when you put it in the stand. It starts when you buy it. And the first thing you need to understand about Christmas trees is that they are...
Oh, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you now.
Oh, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't either. Oh well, I just heard silence for a moment. Okay, so we were picking out our new Christmas tree.
Yes, they're giant cut flowers. That's the best way to think about them.
Okay.
So the same way that you would treat your cut flowers, treat and think about cut flowers is how you need to treat and think about Christmas trees or Hanukkah bushes, depending.
Okay.
Yeah, so
or Hanukkah bushes.
If you go to the store and you're going to buy a dozen roses, why you would do that? Because they're overpriced, but maybe you're doing that. So you're going to the store buying a dozen roses. Are you going to buy the ones that's been there for a week?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not, because they're going to be wilty and they're going to be half dead. You can't see that on a Christmas tree, though. Yeah. What you're going to see is, just a Christmas tree. So you need to ask when that tree was cut. A lot of times, especially at your big box stores, those trees could have been cut over a month ago. Which means that you don't have a lot of life left in them. The cut your own Christmas tree farms are very convenient. Do try to check to make sure that the place you're going to isn't using an overabundance of pesticides or iffy pest control. If anyone has ever experienced the Asian ladybug invading their home, those are those really big orangish ladybugs that stink, and they
okay. Uh-huh.
That is actually a byproduct of the Christmas tree farm industry in the United States.
Oh, okay.
They were released as a pest control method for Christmas tree farms, and now they've become quite a pest themselves. So there's lots of local farms, and I don't care where you live. There are lots of local farms to where you are, little family-run places that use sustainable methods to grow their Christmas trees. Look into it. It makes for a great family outing. It does, or a couple date,
And there's some places you can go and actually pick your tree before it's been cut, right?
Right, that's what I mean. That's what these places are.
Okay.
That's what you go, you pick your tree, they'll cut it for you, you cut it. It makes for a great family memory or a really great date.
Hang on, everyone. We got to take a short break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned. Soul Journeys Radio.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Yo, what's up? Check this out.
The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back, and thanks for joining us here tonight with Heather Rhoades of GardeningKnowHow.com here on Soul Journeys Radio, answering your questions tonight. And we left off talking about Christmas trees, and I don't know, Heather, I was telling you during the break, I remember we used to always, you know, as a child growing up, we always put it up the day after Thanksgiving, and it would always last beyond New Year's. And I mean, I think it was usually New Year's Day where we did, you know, the undecorating and all of that fun stuff. But I have a couple friends that live nearby that said that they, for the life of them, they have not been able to get a tree last longer than 2 weeks. So you're suggesting a Christmas tree farm where you go find a living tree and then they chop it for you. So
Right,
now
and-
what?
Well, I say, and for those of you out there who are going, oh my God, I'm cutting down a tree. Again, these are cut flowers. They are not trees like we traditionally think of them. These farms are going to replant vigorously whatever they lose to sales. So, you know, and then once you get it cut, getting it home is actually really important too, because we were just talking about the poinsettia. When you take it out to your car, you can do the same thing to your tree. Most of us are going to put it on top of our car, and we're going to drive home furiously down the highway at 65 to 70 miles an hour in sub-freezing temperatures. That is not healthy for your tree. So,
Imagine
you
that.
if you can get a covering over the tree, you know, it's okay to put it on the top of the roof. Try to get a covering over it if you can. You know, a tarp, something like that. And take a leisurely route home. Enjoy the Christmas lights, you know, sing some Christmas carols. Again, this all plays into a great memory for, you know, a family or a date night or, you know, just a person driving home. This is enjoyable. Enjoy it.
Okay. So take the back roads route home.
Yeah, you know, keep it slow, leisurely, get it home. Get it when you get home. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff online about, you know, drilling holes in the bottom, and you don't need to do that. Again, same with your cut flowers. When you get home, take off about a 1/4 inch of the bottom of the trunk right before you put it in water, the same as you would cut off, you know, an inch or so off of your bouquet of flowers before you put it in the water, and make sure it stays hydrated. A Christmas tree that's freshly cut can take up to a gallon of water a day.
Oh, wow.
So,
a
yeah,
gallon a day. Okay, so that's very important. All right.
You know, so those little tiny Christmas tree holders that people used in the 70s and 80s and up until today, that's probably not going to be enough for a tree. Try
Unless
to invest.
You want to water it like 10 times a day.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You know, try to invest in something it's a vase. You need a vase. That's what you need. You need a Christmas tree vase.
Okay.
So
like a 6-7 foot tree, you can expect up to a gallon of water a day.
Up to a gallon of water a day for a truly fresh cut tree. So, and also when you cut your tree, when you decide on your tree, ask about how long they hold onto the needles. Not all Christmas trees are created equal. Unfortunately, the ones that feel really nice, when you touch them and they're not prickly, they tend to hold on to their Christmas or their needles much less than the ones that are more rigid and prickly feeling.
Oh, okay.
So, you got to make a decision there. Do you want a Christmas tree that you can pet or, um, or do you want a Christmas tree that's going to stick around for the duration? And so that's something to take into mind as well. So also, like I said, remember, Christmas tree, cut flower. You're not going to set your cut flower on top of the heater, right?
Yeah, probably not.
No. And you know what? And people do it with their Christmas trees all the time.
Yes.
They set it next to the fireplace. They set it next to their radiator, on top of the heat register.
Absolutely.
You don't want to do that. Same thing with you wouldn't put your cut flowers next to the door where there's going to be drafts all the time. Same thing with your Christmas tree. Put it somewhere where it's not going to get too hot and it's not going to get too cold. And all of these things will equal a Christmas tree. It should last you, 4 to 6 weeks. Easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like I said, when you're buying a Christmas tree from a big box store, they have already been cut for a month. So if they can keep them alive for a month, you can keep them alive for 4 to 6 weeks in your house.
Okay. All right. So that's really good advice there. I mean, who knew you had to give your Christmas tree, your dead cut Christmas flower, a gallon of water a day. So I'm sure that'll help her out quite a bit. And Heather, you posted an article on your website about rosemary Christmas trees, which, I don't really do Christmas and Christmas trees and stuff like that myself. However, I have a beautiful rosemary container out right outside on my porch, and I'm thinking that's something I can do, especially with Condi in the chat letting us know that they have chocolate Christmas ornaments. So I don't know, I might pull in my rosemary and put some chocolate on it. But tell us about rosemary Christmas trees and other alternatives.
Well, I would say, if you're bringing in your rosemary, you have to remember you got to acclimate it.
Yeah.
And this goes the same for anybody who's buying a live Christmas tree.
Yeah. Okay.
You cannot take a Christmas tree or a rosemary plant that was outside in the freezing cold and then bring it into your toasty warm house and expect it to be happy.
Yeah, 30 to 70, just like that. Yeah. All right.
So, and yeah, like I said, this goes for live Christmas trees too. You need to acclimate it. As a matter of fact, with rosemary, it's okay if you acclimate it. With live Christmas trees, I would say, try to keep the period you're going to be keeping it in the house as short as possible. Simply because if you fully acclimate a live Christmas tree to your house, you cannot put it back outside until spring.
Okay.
So if you're one of these people who keeps their Christmas tree up until April, you're good with the live Christmas tree. But if you're using a live Christmas tree that you want to plant in the backyard after your Christmas is over, no more than 2 weeks in the house. No more.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. The live Christmas tree, would it be in a big pot and then you plant it outside? Or would
Typically,
you reroot a cut tree? How does that work?
Typically, when you buy them, and these are pretty popular these days. You buy them and they're burlapped root balls. Again, you need to make sure you keep it watered. You actually, with a live Christmas tree, you want to make sure it's in the coolest part of your house possible, and away from any heat sources.
Okay.
And it is like a giant house plant. So, and like I said, no more than 2 weeks. If you go any longer than 2 weeks, that Christmas tree needs to live in your house until April.
Okay. So the same with our rosemary bush.
Rosemary, right. And once you acclimate it to the indoors, you can't put it back outside. It just simply can't readjust to the temperatures outside again.
Oh, ever?
Well, it can once the weather gets warm.
Okay.
Basically, when you bring a plant like a Christmas tree or a rosemary into the house, you're waking it up. It went dormant. It went to sleep outside, and you brought it in like Prince Charming and woke up Sleeping Beauty. And you certainly can't just toss Sleeping Beauty back out into the snow.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
and so I mean, it's really the the same sort of thing. Rosemary, it's a little easier because it's probably going to be a smaller plant. You have windows, and it can grow very happily indoors. It's not as much of a inconvenience, when you take the Christmas decorations off the rosemary tree, everybody says, "Oh, look, rosemary." Are you making sausage? When your relatives come into your house in February and say, "Oh, you still have the Christmas tree up," it's a different thing. So just keep that in mind. If you're bringing a plant from outside, a live plant from outside to be your holiday decoration inside, it's going to have to stay inside until springtime.
Okay. All right. That sounds fair enough. So even with the Christmas tree, with the root ball that you want to reroot or replant.
Right. It's if you have it in the house for more than 2 weeks, it's going to have to stay in the house or you risk killing it, putting it back outside.
That makes sense, because I'll tell you what, nobody can kill rosemary like I can, because I didn't know these things, and I used to just bring in my container herbs, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Everyone else that left their rosemary out in the freezing sub-zero temps, their rosemary bush is fine, and came back, and I couldn't figure it out for like 3 years why I was killing mine, and it was, well, next to the heater, in the lab.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Ooh, I don't know about you, but this song makes me just want to bounce up and down and woohoo, I love yellow, and welcome back everyone. Top of the second hour, Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Thank you for joining us here, and if you do have any questions or comments, if you'd like to speak with Heather directly, the phone number is 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at souljourneysradio.com. And we left off talking about acclimating our rosemary bushes or other alternative Christmas trees, or of course ones you want to replant yourself. And that totally makes sense, that once you bring it back to life and force it to not sleep, that you're going to have to wait till, spring or the next season to bring it outside. No more killing rosemary bushes for me. But so you, in your articles, you talked about rosemary plants. You also mentioned some other alternative Christmas trees, so please share.
Well, a lot of people like the Norfolk pine, which is a pine tree, but not the kind that we typically think of. Yeah. It's a tropical pine. So it can only survive as a houseplant in most of the United States. I believe it only survives outdoors in zone 9 and 10.
Okay.
So
I think they're so beautiful, and they're just like so soft. And
yep, they're very pettable.
Pettable. So that's a Christmas tree that you could pet and keep alive, right?
Yes. And, keep it as a you can keep it year round. And it's like most houseplants, needs lots of light and water. But it makes a very nice alternative to a Christmas tree, and especially they tend to stay small. So if you're a single person living by yourself, and you just want to have a little bit of holiday cheer, a Norfolk pine makes a nice Christmas tree for your apartment.
Okay.
And and there's some other. I mean, for Christmas we don't necessarily have to have trees. There's lots of plants that we can use in our house to either bring out the joy of Christmas or just the joy of life. I know my family, we celebrate the solstice here, so it's a day of remembering that even on the darkest night of the year, there's still life out there.
Yeah.
And there's amaryllis. It's a very popular plant. And those, you get them started probably a little on the late side if you're starting them now, but get them started now. You should be able to get them to bloom near Christmas, or at least near the first of the year, so you can have them for New Year's.
Oh wow, amaryllis. That's a nice idea.
And you can get some absolutely beautiful ones, and you can keep those as house plants. After, don't throw them away. You might get them for $5, at the big box store, but don't throw them away, because the longer you keep them alive, the bigger the blooms get on them. And I know people who've kept a bulb for 10 years now, and the blooms they get on them are absolutely amazing. After 10 years. So and you never need to repot them. This is something that people don't know about amaryllis, but they actually like tiny pots. Those little tiny pots that they come in, they like that. Keep them there. They do best in that for a long time. There's, the other classic, there's Christmas cactus. Which if you own a Christmas cactus, I'm actually looking at my Christmas cactus right now, and it's starting to bloom. And again, it's triggered by light. So that's why they start blooming around this time, because the light is correct for them to bloom.
So they like less light then?
Yeah, they bloom in less light. So as the light starts to fade, they bloom less.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of bulbs you can force. Whether it be paper whites or daffodils or hyacinth. These can be forced at this time of year, and used to remind us that spring is not far, far away.
Yeah, not far away, just far away. Oh, I'm missing it already.
And there's the traditional decorations of holly and mistletoe. If anybody's visited my Facebook page, the Gardening Know-How Facebook page, in the past week and a half, there was a minor brouhaha about mistletoe. So, because we posted an article on how to grow it and how to control it, and there were people on both sides who were upset about that article, about those articles.
Oh, why?
So, well, on one end, growing mistletoe is a parasitic plant. Once it attaches itself to a tree, it can kill it, and especially in areas where it is non-native.
Oh, how dare you talk about non-native plants?
So, it can cause some problems in those areas. And then on the other end, controlling it, it is a beautiful plant, and plants have a right to live. And in this particular case, it is representative of some religious sects. So, people on both sides have really strong feelings, apparently, about mistletoe. So
that is so funny. Okay.
But
right.
holly, not so much.
Holly is okay. Mistletoe bad. Okay.
Well, mistletoe apparently is here. Mistletoe apparently is just inflammatory.
Wow, I had no idea.
Neither did I.
Okay.
So we posted the one on how to grow it, and got all sorts of snarky and not so happy, comments, and then we posted one on how to control it, and then the same thing happened. So I don't.
That is hilarious.
I give up.
Okay. Oh my gosh. People.
But it is a Christmas plant. We all are familiar with it. It is, just to remind everybody, the berries are poisonous to people, so don't eat it.
Don't juice them.
Yeah, not good. Uh,
Oh
So,
goodness.
and then you have holly, and holly's not going to do well indoors. We get that question a lot. Can I grow holly indoors? It does not. It really, really needs that cold weather. Most hollies, I'm not going to say all because there are some tropical varieties of holly, but the holly that we think of for Christmas, I should say. Um, the holly that we think of for Christmas does not do well indoors.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
so certainly plant it outside. And if you plant holly outside, remember it's a plant that has male and female. So if you have a holly bush that has never gotten holly berries, that's because you have a little boy. And if or if you have a little boy or you have a sexually frustrated holly bush. One of the two.
Okay. All right. So maybe that's why I'm not producing berries, right?
Very possible. You need a male and a female to get berries, and only the female produces berries. So.
Okay. All right.
But,
wow, I had no idea that there was political incorrectedness when it comes to holiday plants. That's funny. Okay. All right. Well, I like that. That's a lot of ideas for alternatives and such. And let me ask you this. Okay, let's get back to the rosemary bush. Would we, let's say we bring it in and do our tree or do our acclimation or something. We could always prune it right after, right? And save it all for, our herbs and tinctures and things like that. What are the chances of it coming back, putting it outdoors after we prune it?
If you prune it and put it outdoors, it's guaranteed it will die.
We're totally screwed. Okay. Yeah. All right.
What happens when and you should never prune your herbs close to the end of the season for this reason as well.
Okay.
Because when you prune the plant, you are signaling to the plant that it needs to produce new growth. If you're keeping it, and new growth has absolutely no, it's just like a newborn baby, absolutely no protection. Okay. So if you're keeping it indoors and you're signaling to it that it needs to produce new growth, it's okay, because you're keeping it safe like a newborn baby. Yeah. But if you prune it and then throw it outside, it's putting all of its energy into this new growth that's going to die, and the whole plant will die. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you, or let's move on to house plants and such. I know that they, although we don't want them to have a dormant period, we want them green and lush and beautiful all year round. They're technically supposed to do a little resting as well, right?
They do. All house plants. Any plant goes through a dormant period. We may not recognize it as a dormant period, but all plants go through dormant periods, the same as all people sleep. Yes. It's something that they need. So typically, you're going to find typical plants have a dormant season when it's cooler with less light, which is, typically, even if your house is heated, even if you put a plant in the southern window, it's getting less light, there's less sunlight, and we typically keep our houses a little cooler than, say, the height of summer. So, pardon me. So they start to just chillax. So you can cut back your watering, you can cut back your fertilizer. With most houseplants, you shouldn't fertilize at all in the wintertime. So. And especially with watering, touch it, don't water it, touch the soil. And if the soil is dry, then you water. If it's still damp, leave it alone, because they're just not drinking as much. And if you overwater a plant in winter, it will develop root rot and you will kill it.
Okay. So what about herbs? I don't know, sage, parsley, thyme, oregano, etc. How would you want to care for those in the winter?
The same thing. I actually don't recommend that you fertilize herbs at all. They actually develop a much more intense flavor if you don't fertilize them. In the winter, you can still harvest them. You can still use them. They still grow. They're just not going to grow as fast as they do in the summer.
Okay.
So you still need to check to see if they need water before you water them, because they're just not going to be using as much.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm assuming it would be the same for them. If you bring them in for the winter, then you want to acclimate them and probably not put them back out until spring if you expect them to go year-round. Okay.
Right.
All right. But again, same as house plants, less water, no fertilizer. Does compost tea count as fertilizer?
It does. It's if you use a weak tea, it shouldn't cause a problem. It's more the chemical fertilizer because it can burn the roots because they're not using it. Chemical fertilizer in particular turns the salt in the soil if the plant is not using it as it should, or it's not getting, because you're reducing watering, it's not getting flushed out. That's going to be an issue. The compost tea, use a weak tea. Don't use anything too much because you don't want to burn the roots. But you can use it. The plant won't use it right then, but it will use it when it wakes up later in the season.
Okay. Now, what about say ferns, pothos, easy plant? All of the typical house plants. What if you keep them in a temperature-regulated greenhouse or garage or something? Is that kind of interrupting their natural cycle? Do we want to let them kind of rest for a while, or can we keep them green and lush all year?
They'll stay green and lush. Like pothos and ferns and those are plants that are used to staying lush all year. It's just what you're going to see with those type of plants is they're just not going to grow as fast.
Okay.
They're not going to die back. They're not going to yellow. They're just not going to grow like they do in the summertime. Okay. And again, that's why they don't need the fertilizer and they don't need the water this time of year. They just aren't putting out the energy like they used to.
Yeah. So what if they are yellowing? What if they are in a temperature-regulated environment, circulating air, and trying to keep them green, but they are starting to yellow? What would that mean?
If I was asked that, I would actually look to root rot. I would look to see if they were overwatered. That somebody meaning well was like, I'll make sure they get enough water. Like I said, you want to touch the soil before you water it in the wintertime. You want to make sure it's dry because you can water it and it may, depending on the plant, it may not need water for another 2-3 weeks. There's very few house plants that you have to keep really, really wet all year round.
Okay. So make sure that it goes completely dry before you water again?
Not completely dry. You just want to be able to touch the top of the soil and not feel any moisture for most plants. For your desert type plants, succulents and Christmas cactus we were just talking about, or other types of cactuses, you want to be able to push your finger into the first knuckle, and it should be dry before you water it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's excellent advice. Probably for everyone. I'm sure almost everyone has some kind of plant going on in their house, hopefully. If not, go get one. They really brighten things up. And yeah, I went to my friend's house for Thanksgiving, and she doesn't think she has a green thumb, but she has 100 beautiful plants. They all look perfect, and she's so cute. She's doing such a good job. But this is excellent advice. Hang on, everyone. It is that time. We will be back after these few short minutes with Heather Rhoades. Stay tuned. Soul Journeys Radio.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American
It's practically narcotics.
Freedom
Oh, yes, I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back, and thanks for joining us here tonight with Heather Rhoades of gardeningknowhow.com, answering your questions tonight. And we've been talking about all sorts of wonderful information, holiday plants, house plants, acclimating, and you know what? Speaking of house plants, I have a question for myself. I'm a big dork. Of course, everybody knew that. But I got a little lazy. We had a couple nice days a couple weeks ago, and I took one of my pothos outside to just, get some sunshine, and it was like 70 degrees or something, and water it out there so I don't, ruin my wood floors in here. And, I got lazy, and we had a night in the teens, and I killed it. And, there is still some stuff sticking out of the soil, and I was wondering if I can revive it, or if there's any way to bring it back to life.
These are always the most heartbreaking questions we get from people. Because they're like, I just left it out for one night. It really depends on the plant. And then you also have to think about how long it's going to take for that plant to recover.
Yeah.
And whether it's worth it to you. If it was, if it's a pothos you got from grandma, and grandma has been gone a good time, and you miss her dearly, then that effort might be worth it. Mm-hmm. But if you bought it at Walmart last year for $4.99, go buy another one at Walmart for $4.99.
I kind of like the challenge, though, just to see.
Some people do, and
in the runners, they have the, where it starts to root and stuff, and I was just thinking of maybe cutting all of those and just seeing if they'll reroot.
Yeah, typically, unless you get a hard freeze, typically you plant a plant that you leave outside for one night is going to be alive. Mm-hmm. It's going to need a whole lot of love and care. It's just you have to decide how much love and care you want to invest in that plant. Yeah. And if you like the challenge, it's certainly possible. I guess the benchmark is dead branches will either be mushy or they will be brittle. So if you can break it or you can squish it, it's dead. It's not coming back. If it's pliable, though, that's live material. And on any plant, you have a chance of bringing it back from that live material. But you just have to consider how much effort you want to bring it back. And with pothos, you bring it back, and probably in a couple years, it'll be as lush as it was when you accidentally left it outside. A hibiscus, on the other hand, if you leave a tropical hibiscus outside, especially a tree form one, it's not going to come back the same as when you accidentally injured it. Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind too. Do you want that plant to look like that And it's a personal choice for gardeners, you know. So it just depends on, how much effort you want to put in and how okay you are with what it's going to look like after you bring it back. So it's your Frankenstein.
All right. Well, I'm going for the challenge then. What the heck, right?
And I'm sitting at my desk right now, and I have a wide variety of plants sitting in front of me, and I have a peace lily that I accidentally killed, almost. And I mean, and it does have a particular nostalgia for me, so I was like, I'm gonna bring it back, and it's is it anywhere near what it was before I accidentally killed it? No, but
Not
is it
yet.
alive? Yeah, not yet. Is it alive and thriving? Yeah, it's doing really well. So
how'd you kill your baby?
I didn't water it.
Oops. Well, I'm
I
glad I'm not
had
the
it in
only
a
one.
corner and I forgot. And peace lily are really, really resilient, but it's one of those things. I'm really great with plants outside, plants inside, not as much. So I just forgot it was there and forgot to water it and came in and there was not much left other than a couple of green sprigs, and I'm like, I'm gonna save this. So
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 did
she's getting
you
there.
prune it, cut off all the dead leaves, or what did you do to revive your baby?
Yeah, it got pruned back. All the dead material got removed, and we kept the green stuff, and then it gets put into that's why it's on my desk right now. It's because now it's right in front of me.
Yeah, now you can't forget it.
I'm not going to forget to water it, and it's going to need me not to forget to water it for the next year or so.
Yeah.
Even though it's a peace lily, and those things are darn near impossible to kill, as evidenced. Now I need to give it some real TLC before I can even think about moving it to a less safe location. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I guess basically almost anything we could revive if we want to put in the effort.
Right. Right. Okay. It's just a matter of, how much time do you want to put into your Frankenstein? So.
Now, I guess if we are doing, I mean, since we're talking about that, I'm positive, Heather, you and I are not the only ones that have fouled up and killed a houseplant once or twice. So I guess what would the first thing we would want to, or what would the first things we want to do? We'd want to remove all the dead material.
Yeah, you want to. Yeah, you want to determine if it's still alive, if it's still salvageable. And like I said, that test I told you about, squish or break, it's dead. Pliable, it's alive. And remove everything else but what's still alive. And you also need to check the roots, because a lot of people, especially, we were just talking about this, especially in the wintertime, will accidentally kill their plants by overwatering.
Yes.
Which means root rot, which means that you need to get rid of that dead root as well.
Okay.
Same policy. Go through pull the plant out, rinse off its roots. Anything squishy is gone. Get rid of it. Okay. You don't want that in the soil because that's actually a fungus, and as long as it's still there, it's going to continue to attack the roots. So once you get down to healthy roots, repot it, treat the soil with a fungicide, just to make sure that you're not going to get that root rot coming back immediately.
So would neem be a good choice for that?
Neem would be a good choice for that. That's my go-to. But there are several other options out there if people want to go to their local plant nursery or something like that to look at it.
Okay. So we want to remove not just the dead material on top, we want to pull it out and remove the dead root material as well.
Right. Okay. Right. So, and especially if you know that it is damaged by root rot. So, and then replant it, and then you need to put it in as ideal a condition for that plant as possible. So, again, we have my peace lily. It's a plant that's can take a lot of abuse. But given the circumstances where it's, it's on its last legs, I need to save it. We're going to put it in a window where it gets bright indirect light because that's the ideal location for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make sure it gets the exact amount of water it needs, not too much, not too little. And we're going to keep an eye on these plants for a good month or two at least until you see healthy growth for pests. Because pests, these are exactly the type of plants that they're attracted to. They're sickly, they're damaged, they're ripe for a pest to attack it. So you're going to see spider mites are a big one. That's when you get the webby material all over your plant. They really like houseplants in the winter that are not doing their best. And that's a sign too. If you get spider mites on your plants, or you get aphids, then your plant has a problem.
Okay,
they
so
don't
does
attack.
neem work good for that in your experience?
It does. Any plant, spider mites, aphids, anything that sucks on the plant. Neem does really well because the plant soaks up the neem, and then the bugs that are biting the plant then suck up the neem from the plant, and it kills them.
All right.
So, and that's
peppermint oil works well for spider mites as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mints do well. So yeah, scale is another thing you'll see a lot on houseplants that are sickly, and that's typically when we get the question, it'll be there's brown bumps all over my plant.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you what scale looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Brown bumps.
People say, and they say, "Oh, I don't think it's a pest. It's just these brown bumps." It is a pest. Once they attach, they don't move. So.
Oh, okay.
So it looks, it looks like a disease, but it's actually a pest. Mealy bugs. That'll be a fluffy spot. You get people say, I have these fluffy white spots all over my plant. They don't move. I don't think it's a pest. It's mealy bugs. So.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. I thought mealy bugs, aren't those things that attack your flour and rice and crackers?
Yeah. Well, I think you're thinking of miller moths. Mealworms. Miller moths and mealworms is what you're thinking of.
Oh, mealy bugs and meal moths are two different things. That's good to know. Yeah. I definitely have to brush up on my bug knowledge.
There's so many. Yeah, mealy bugs. They look they're fuzzy and gray or white, and then a lot of times people will say they'll go to wipe them off and there'll be a little red spot like blood.
Oh, okay. So they're actually attached. So if you brush them off, then you're kind of breaking them open, so to speak.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, those are and sometimes these things are so small, it's hard to see them. Certainly spider mites, you really have a hard time actually seeing the mite. What you see is their webs. So. But these are all things to keep an eye on in your indoor house plants. If you see any of these pests, that means your plant is stressed. And not only do you need to get rid of the bugs that are attacking it, but you need to make sure that you bring down its stress level.
Okay. All right. So if we are, reviving something we maybe didn't give enough attention to, we're just going to treat it as if we were just starting brand new seedlings.
Yeah, it's you can think of it, you're putting your house plant at that point in time in house plant ICU,
Yeah, I see you.
Okay. It's an intensive care unit, so do the best you can and take as best of care that you can of that plant. Yeah. And that's why I tell a lot of people, that's and that could be a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay.
So consider how much your time is valuable to bringing this plant back. Like with my peace lily, it has it has sentimental value to me, so I'm going to put the effort into bringing it back. But the Christmas cactus that was in the same spot that also died, it got pitched. So
Yeah. Okay, I guess you could just put it in your compost, right?
Right. Or you can give it. That's another thing you can put out. You can give it to somebody else who wants to put the effort into saving it.
Plant rescue.
You know, put up on Craigslist, free, really sickly Christmas cactus.
Yeah.
You know, some people do thrive. They, you know, that's, you were talking about, you like the challenge, and there are people who like that. You know, there's some pride in saying, you know, this plant was just the same as saving an animal or a human. You know, this plant was on its last legs, and I brought it back. So.
Right. There was another article I was reading on your site about edema in plants.
Yeah, that's a really interesting disease.
I never, you know, I know that it happens in people. Didn't know that we can do that to our plants as well. So tell us all about it.
Yeah, it's when the plant takes up too much water, and you know, we have the picture of the leaf on there, but typically, at least as far as our questions go, when we get it to the website, you'll see it in squash.
Oh.
People say, you know, why is my squash bumpy?
The squash itself or the leaves?
The squash itself.
Oh, would that, okay. I've seen that, like in yellow squash. I've had some of my yellow squash be bumpy before. I'm like, wow,
right.
It
can indicate, while it can indicate a disease, it's just as much of a chance that it's edema.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom, American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back. And so sorry, I just found out that maybe you're having trouble listening, like there's a double feed or something, or static. That's funny. Okay, well, I'm sorry. And I really don't know, so thank you all for hanging in there, but I did send a message to the producers, and I'm sure they will have that worked out in absolutely no time. And I guess we left out the most important question of the evening. Heather, what are you wearing?
I am wearing an old Marilyn Manson t-shirt from when I was in college.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got to see Marilyn Manson before Marilyn Manson was anybody. So,
right.
and then a pair of jeans, and that's it. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds super sexy. I'm sure our newfies and zonies will be happy with that. So, okay. And I know nobody cares what I'm wearing, but I'm wearing a pink robe.
Ooh.
And it's comfy.
Yeah, you know, comfy is important. That's why I'm wearing the Marilyn Manson shirt. It's the comfiest t-shirt I have ever owned. So.
I don't know. Some of my friends are like, Christy, why are you wearing robes all the time? Is that all you have? Can I buy you a jacket? I'm like, no, it's just that these are comfy. That's all. So it's winter, you know, it gets a little chilly, and I don't know. It just feels good. I mean, who do I have to impress? Oh, well. Okay, all right, we got that out of the way, so now we can move on to plant edema. So why does this happen? And as you mentioned, it's not just houseplants, it can also carry over into squash.
Yeah, it's just a condition where the plant takes up too much water, and the water has to go somewhere. So it's going to make little blisters over the plant. Like I said, we get the question most commonly in reference to squash. It can be mosaic virus causing this too, but it could, if the plant looks otherwise healthy, it's probably edema, and it's just the water has to go somewhere. So it's going to create blisters on the surface of the leaves and the fruit of the plant. Crazy but true.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. I was telling you during the break sometimes, same squash plant too. Some will be nice and smooth and shiny, and then some have all those cute little warty like bumps, which I don't know. They look cute. They taste the same. I didn't really, think much of it, other than it just happens sometimes. So. Why would that be or you mentioned there's many possibilities, but could you talk about some of the possibilities why that would be happening in just
on the
some
same
of the squash?
Yeah, if it's on the same plants, it probably has to do with timing. That's when particular fruit on the plants were immature. There were some watering issues that caused blisters to happen, and then as the fruit grow, they have blisters while their little siblings who developed during a time when there wasn't watering problems will grow smooth. Once those blisters develop, they're not going to go away. It's not like it's going to heal itself. Those blisters are going to be a permanent fixture on that particular growth on the plant. So that would be one explanation. Mosaic virus is another common one, but typically if you see mosaic virus, it's going to affect both the leaves and the fruit. There are some nutrient deficiencies that can cause issues like that. And again, if the fruit were developing during, one nutrient deficiency, and then later fruit were developing and the nutrient deficiency had been corrected, you get fruit that were deformed or blistered or bumpy.
Yeah.
So
okay. Oh, I'm hearing you in stereo now. That's kind of cool.
I am too.
All right. Well, all sorts of fun stuff. But hey, we like the challenge, don't we?
That's what gardening is all about, isn't it? That's why we garden, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, gosh, we just have a few minutes left, and I did want to, of course, this time of year, if you're in the northern hemisphere, we might be mulching and, thinking about soil amendments and such. And you recently posted an article about nettles as a fertilizer, and there's some crazy people like me that like to eat them and drink them. And then there's smart people like you that use them for fertilizer. So tell us why we would want to use nettles as fertile.
First of all, I want to say that, I don't think it means you're crazy or smart. It just, there are different plants that can help your soil. Cover crops are great. There's lots of winter cover crops that you can plant. But basically, these things are, nettle is for the same reason it makes you a healthy person. It also makes your soil a healthy place to be.
Yeah.
So, it's got a lot of micronutrients, which are hard to put into the soil wholesale. But nettle will be able to pull those up, and you'll be able to transfer those leaves to another area where you might need to supplement that. And not to mention, it's easy to grow. So,
yeah,
these things make it for, like I said, for the same reason that it makes it healthy for people, it also makes it healthy for your soil. It's not the only cover crop you can put in for the winter. Certainly there's vetch and clover and winter wheat. There's all sorts of cover crops you can grow over the cold period and then till in the spring into your soil, and it acts as a natural manure, green manure in the soil, adding all sorts of things you need.
Okay. So you can, for the nettles or whatever else, clovers or something, you can either till it into the soil, or you can make like a nettle tea or something, drink some for you, save the rest for the garden. But I love how you put all of the minerals and vitamins that you're feeding your body and your soil with. And that's vitamin A, B1, B5, C, D, E, and K, as well as chlorophyll, nitrogen, iron, potassium, copper, zinc, magnesium, and calcium. That certainly sounds like a perfect food for all of us.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, a lot of people don't realize that the same things that keep us healthy also keep our plants healthy. That's why it's so healthy to eat our plants.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
So the healthier you keep the soil, the better able your plants are able to take up these micronutrients that we need, and they stay healthy, and then you eat those plants and you stay healthy.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. I've never used chemical fertilizers myself, but I know many people do with, lots of benefits, or they, boast successes. I also happen to know somebody that works in a chemical fertilizer plant, and like, wow, this is really cool. What do you use? And of course, the main ingredient is urea. Hello, urine. It made me wonder, why don't we just pee on our plants?
Actually, it's because it has too high of a nitrogen content.
So it has to be mixed with something.
It has to be diluted. If anybody owns a dog, you know what happens when dogs go outside and pee in the same spot over and over and over again. That's the same thing with manure. That's why it's not really healthy to throw, even from vegetable-eating plant or animals. You shouldn't throw the manure straight onto your beds because the nitrogen is too high. You need to let it mellow, or dilute it somehow. So, I mean, that's the major reason why with urea. It's just that it's really, really high in nitrogen. It's a great source of nitrogen.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so if you do want to pee in your garden, then make sure you dilute it before you put it directly on the plants, right?
Yeah, I would not. Yeah, I would. And with urine, you also have. It's the same with human feces. Why you have to be careful using human feces, and these plants that process urea to add to the fertilizer. They have some pretty sophisticated equipment that makes sure that there's not any pathogens being passed there too.
Of course.
Anytime you're dealing with human waste, you have the risk of pathogens.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're taking...
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Just look at us. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. Doctors destroy health, lawyers destroy justice, universities destroy knowledge, governments destroy freedom, the major media destroys information, and religions destroy spirituality. I think there's more to know here.
What you ever hear about in this country is our differences. That's all the media and the politicians are ever talking about, the things that separate us, things that make us different from one another. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They try to divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the money. Fairly simple thing happens to work. Do you know anything different? That's what they're going to talk about. Race, religion, ethnic and national background, jobs,
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank.
You're listening to the future of talk. American Freedom Radio. This is American Freedom Radio.